I'd like to congratulate you on the Navarre Beach Area Chamber's 41st anniversary. I can hardly believe it's been 40-some years since we sat at the table at Carl and Maggie's Cafe. Most of y'all don't even know what that is. It's on the west side of Navarre Park. The group of men that would come there and have coffee every morning, share stories, local news, and do a lot of bullshitting, right, Bill? We cleaned it up for you now. The best of my recollection, these were the men that basically went every day there. Mr. Ira Wells, who is Ira Mae Bruce's father, Bill Wells, Ira Mae's uncle, Al Pullum, Bill Pullum's father, Orion Parker, my father, and Leroy Wells and Danny Stevens on occasion came to be with us. Bill Pullum and I came when we could do it. We weren't there every day. But I think we were there, Bill, when it really counted. Because they started putting the hammer down on us about who's going to be the president, and they decided to just railroad me into being the first president. And we already had it slated to take Bill on for the second president, so he couldn't get out of it. The conversation around these tables was, you can imagine, was pretty lively. And often the question came up, what can we do as a bunch of older men sitting around this table drinking coffee? What can we do to improve, we'll use a golf term, the life of this community? We want to help it. We want to see it grow. And what can we do? This group of men decided that maybe a Chamber of Commerce would be a good idea. And of course, none of us sitting at the table, Bill, if you remember, we didn't know what anything about developing a Chamber of Commerce. That's like foreign language to me. But thought it was a good idea. So to develop Holly-Navarre Chamber of Commerce, and that's what it was originally. And that, of course, was incorporated in 1975. It was determined that we needed to have a set of goals. Because you can't do anything without some goals. You don't set up some goals, you don't know where you're going. You'll end up doing, like my wife said, running off on the rabbit trails. And you don't get anything done running off on rabbit trails. One of the first goals that we established was the fact that we needed a local call for our telephones. Y'all can't believe it. When you got on the telephone and you called Fort Walton Beach, guess what? Long distance. You got on the telephone and called Milton, long distance. You got on the telephone and called Gulf Breeze, believe it or not. It was long distance. I know it's hard for you to believe it, but that happened. It's a real problem, especially for people wanting to start a business or to just plain live in Navarre. You can imagine that. So the Chamber of Commerce, as we were known then, the Holly-Navarre Chamber, we lobbied Santa Rosa County Commissioners, Southern Bell Telephone, the Florida Public Service Commission for local service, and it was not until 1984 that the goal was finally met under Bill Pullum's reign as president. He was a president, by the way, twice. Second goal, school situation. Oh my Lord. Y'all realize what happened with the school situation? We didn't have any school in Navarre, period. But you did have a school in Holly. Have any of y'all ever seen the old school? Let me see the hands of any of y'all have ever seen it. Then you know what I'm talking about. It was a very old school and the cafeteria had been shut down. The children had to bring their own lunches, no hot lunches at all. And the middle schoolers and the high schoolers had to be bused to either Gulf Breeze or to Milton. Now, how would you like to get up at 4:35 and get your kid down to the road so it's dark they can get on the bus and go to school? Well, we didn't like that. So as chamber members, we decided This was really exciting. All the school board meetings. And when I said go, we have over 100 people at those meetings. And my wife said, don't tell this, don't tell people. I'll never forget it. We had been up there for a couple of months, and we were getting worn, our patience was getting thin. Because they kept promising us, and I understand it's all about money, we all know that. But we weren't concerned about that. We wanted a school. An elementary school would be fine to start with. So, on this particular occasion, I got up and spoke for the group. We had, as I recall, about 125 or 30 people there. And when I got up, I'm not going to name names, it's not safe. Certain individuals said, Mr. Parker, you can sit down. We understand what you want. We know what you want. And we'll get you a school. It just can't be right now. I said, I'm not sitting down until you promise to give us a dad-burn school. And he said, well, you know, if you don't, we may have to get a little help and make you sit down. Please sit down. Well, my father got a call about 3 or 4 hours later from one of his friends in Milton, and he said, please get your son to back off on this school issue. He's just about to drive us crazy. He said, maybe you ought to get him to school. This guy was a good friend of my dad's. That's why I don't want to use his name. It doesn't help. Anyway, after a lot of sweat, we did get a promise of a school, and we did finally get an elementary school. And then the next goal was Navarre Park. There was already an undeveloped portion of land that the county called a park, which is on the west side of the Navarre Bridge. The chamber asked Santa Rosa Board of County Commissioners to develop the park, to build a pavilion and a freshwater pond for the children. Well, when you say pond, what does that mean? Permits. Hello. Any of y'all ever had run-ins with the state or federal government on permits? We know about that, don't we? The county said, we'll file for it. We'll get the permit. Well, there you go again. My impatience, and the members of the Chamber of Commerce were like me. They were impatient. We wanted to get this permit. Let's get on with it. Get it done. So we butted in their business, and we just went over to Tallahassee a couple of times. And we did, I think, according to what they told us in Tallahassee, help get it off the bottom of the pile. Because when you give them something you want them to do, they put it here, and then they put others on top of it, and others on top. Before you know it, it's lost. You don't know where it is. We finally got the county to get the permit, which they did. And we decided we'd like to have some fish in it. Now, is that little pond still there? Yeah. Are there any fish in it? We put ground in it and copper-nosed bluegill. And the kids seem to just love it. You can see them down a little reed poles throwing their bait in there, and it was exciting for us to see that. Okay, here's another goal. Traffic light. We didn't see it during my regime, but we decided it was something we need to do something about. At the intersection of 98 and 87, it was very apparent we needed a light. The chamber asked the state, how many people have to die before you folks give us a traffic light here? Well, we're going on a certain count, and they started giving me all this rigmarole, which I didn't understand anyway. But I said, you've already had 4 people killed there that I know about. Maybe before that, maybe even more. But I know of 4 people that had died at that intersection. They said, well, we'll study. And so I see that people went 88. So you have to start the fight. You got to get somebody else to come behind you and finish it. Okay, number 5, law enforcement. Oh my Lord. In 73, this is going to be something. This is going to be something you're going to love. In 73, we had one deputy that came down here to work the South End. I know you think I'm telling you whack, but it's the truth. And here's your problem. Every single time an emergency was called, even in Milton, employees that drove that deputy over there, and there was us without, for 3 or 4 hours without any help at all. We got a little tired of that. We talked to the chamber, and the chamber said we need to go before the commissioners and get them to give us another deputy, and I will say this, they did. They finally did. In the meantime, I'm not supposed to tell this, but I'll tell this. I said, what do you want? He said, get deputized and help me a little bit. They deputized me. I was there for about a year and a half, and I'd ride till 3 or 4 in the morning and come in and get up late and go to work trying to build my business up. But I decided after one night, it's time for me to get out of this business. I am not cut out to be a law enforcement officer. You say, what happened? Got a call in Ted's car one night. Hey, we got a real problem. We got 2 men who supposedly killed this gold miner in Colorado, and we know the car they're driving. It was an old, what was it, 98 or 88. It was loaded with gold nuggets and stuff in the trunk. It's just about to drag the ground. But if y'all confront them, they're loaded, they're armed. If you stop them, get them in the light where you can see what you're doing. So we stopped them, they pulled in the bar. There was a filling station there where there's an eatery. And we pulled into that under those lights. Said, so you take the little one, I'll take the big one. That big guy got out, had his hair slicked back, and they go, and had to start putting their hands by and say, whoa, 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 whoa. Put your hands on the car. Don't take them off the car. Well, the big man disobeyed him, started and y'all have to know Ted appreciates it. Big man, you come back with your hand behind your back like that and break a gun out and I'll blow your head off. You understand? Is there any doubt about what I'm saying? That man, I think if I recall, he dropped the gun. He had a gun in his back pocket. So did the little guy I had. I said, the same thing goes for you. Well, I decided when I got home, I got a wife and a couple of kids. I'm not going to be able to do very well if I get shot. I respect the law enforcement people and all that y'all have done for us. We need to back our law enforcement people. Last but not least, dear old Navarre Pass. Navarre Pass was developed, all of y'all know this, in 1965. Mr. Irewell and Bill's Wells were pushing it real hard. And they're the ones that sat in that meeting and got this Chamber of Commerce going. They were always pushing something that was good for the community. And they conned my dad into joining in with them. And I mean, if Al Pullum and that, we couldn't get them off the back, could we, Bill? They kept pushing and wanting this stuff to be done. Well, they put the Navarre Pass in, and after a couple of months, it filled up with Hurricane Betsy. But a man by the name of Dr. Dean down, we got a man sitting here to tell you more about this by far than I can. Dr. Dean did a study on littoral drift, all this drift and all, and they had drawings they put out in the water. What was that? Canvas bags they filled with sand and all they put out there. Remember, Bill Wells was checking them for a year, so every day he checked them. And all the studies came back with Dr. Dean's study as a positive note. But the pressure from environmental groups and others has prevented the reopening even to this day. I understand y'all are trying to do something about it again. God bless you. I hope you can do it. The Chamber knew then what the pass would mean to Navarre's growth and development. We tried everything in the world to get some attention out here, so we just decided we'll just have a march. And we developed this bunch. We had about, what do we have about? Bill, 125 or 30 people, didn't we? We got shovels. By the way, all the men carry shovels. We go over that pass. We marched across the bridge, went over there, and I said, guys, here's what we need to do, I think. If you don't agree, tell me. Some of y'all start out here at the water's edge, and let's start digging us a ditch. And we had water going halfway through that old pass. You say, what good did it do? It made us feel good.